There was an opinion piece in the Union Tribune with the title, "People, Not Guns, Are Responsible for Shootings. Here's Why Gun Rights Must Be Protected." Cynthia Kaui, author of the article, is on next.
But first, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's 100 pounds bigger?
Nope.
That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's totally free. To sign up, go to notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County and the Inland Empire. Get help today at notmesd.org.
My friend Cynthia Kaui is the new president of the Young Republican organization here in town. The Young Republican, we have her on. She wrote a very cool op-ed. We're going to talk to her about that. We're going to talk to her about the shooting social we did, and we're going to talk to her about the organization, the Young Republicans. Cynthia, you there?
Uh-oh.
No? No.
Nope.
Nope. Cynthia?
We're looking.
She's upset I butchered her last name.
There she is.
There she is.
Yeah, I heard a little peep.
Great to be here.
How are you, Cynthia?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Fantastic. So tell everybody, so you're the new president of the Young Republicans. Now tell everybody not to be confused with the Republican Party. Tell people what is the group, the Young Republicans, what do you guys do?
Absolutely. So the way that I best describe it is the county party exists and they play a major role. The county party, they exist to help fundraise, to help recruit candidates to run for political office, to help get out to vote with volunteers, to increase voter registration, and to do endorsements. The Young Republicans County Organization offers something very different. So similar to how we have the RNC and the California Republican Party, the Young Republican Organization has a national organization and a statewide Young Republican Organization. And so I run the countywide local organization, San Diego Young Republicans. So we are a political organization, but we also offer a lot of social opportunities. And the best way that I describe it is I remember graduating from college and having a lot of problems making friends because, unless you are given those opportunities and you're in that kind of environment, it takes a lot of effort for you to make friends and to put yourself in social environments. And it's even harder if you are conservative or, someone that believes in the Second Amendment or someone that holds, freedom-minded or Republican values to find friends and fellowship with people that think the way that you do. And so that's what my mission and what I want San Diego Young Republicans to focus on is we are a political organization, but we really exist as a community and a place for people that have similar values if you're between the ages of 18 to 40.
18 to 40. So Alicia's 21. She's good. I'm 39. I'm good. Dave being 157, I think you're out.
And she sounds like she's 9.
She's not 9.
Well, she's with the Young Republican.
Yeah. Well, she's got to be at least 21, right?
I don't think so.
21 to 40, she just said. Wait, 18? You said 18 to 40 or 21 to 40?
The age range for our membership is 18, so 18 to 40. So 18 to 40.
Okay, so she's 18.
She's not 18.
No, 18 to 40, but I'm personally 28, so I am a Young Republican. I'm in that range.
So what made you step up and take the reins? I think it's leadership is always difficult, and leadership in politics is super difficult, and leadership in that side of the political spectrum in San Diego, California, is super difficult. So talk about what made you decide to step up and be a leader?
I stepped up to be a leader in particular in this space, but in particular for San Diego Young Republicans is I wanted to be able to give back. I am not someone that is actually a lifelong Republican. I grew up very apolitical. To this day, my family doesn't really care for politics. I did grow up conservative. And, in that sense, however, I didn't always correlate my values and my beliefs with my politics. And so I'm someone that's not I was not, rubber stamped or became a Republican at birth or whatnot, or grew up talking about it. So I'm someone that really grew progressively in leadership over the past couple of years. And I attribute that to the relationships that I built and for the people who believed in me. So the former president, Morgan Kimbaro, did such a great job with fostering a great community of young Republicans and, making sure that it's a great place for people to make friends. And so he actually, reached out to me, and we were friends before, and I had been involved with SDYO before that, asked if I'd consider being the next president. And then, from there, the board unanimously, agreed to appoint me. And, from there, it's just been like the greatest blessing. I'm not someone that backs down from a challenge. And I was someone that I've always been in positions of leadership in government. So when I was in high school, I was actually class president for all 4 years. And then I was involved in, associate student body. So, and as someone, outside of that, I really care a lot about making sure that we bring more young people into the Republican Party. And, we are, a two-party system. And, ultimately, I feel, on the Democrat side, I'm very respectful, to that side because they believe in it. There's a lot of people on the left that do believe in the Second Amendment, and there's other issues we can agree on. But the reality is, with the consumption and the market and the mass media, a lot of times people only see one side of it. And so I care deeply about making sure that everyone knows that San Diego, there is another side to politics. And there are also a community of young Republicans in the county that believe in these values and making sure that we are heard and that we have a seat at the table.
That's awesome. So what has been, so you said you didn't grow up particularly political and kind of got into it during college, right?
Yes. So I grew up in San Diego, and I also went to public schools and university here. So I went to the University of California, San Diego. So everyone would know that as UC San Diego. And I was in college at the time during the very infamous 2016 election with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And it was just a really interesting experience because when you're someone that doesn't care for politics and then you are surrounded by a bunch of your peers, that was all that they talked about. So it was just a very entertaining season of my life. And it was a family friend that, encouraged me to vote for the first time. And so I did that. And then, from there, I, went down the rabbit hole and just started to learn more about politics on my own as a hobby. And, I really grew to care deeply about it and very passionate about it. And then after the 2020 election, I decided to get involved with the Republican County Party. And, for anyone that chooses to get involved with politics, either make it your profession where it's like your day-to-day job, or if you volunteer, if you are a Republican in San Diego, it is a small world. So once you go to like one meeting, the doors, it's like a snowball effect. It can be a blessing and a curse, but, there's a lot of benefits to that. And that's kind of like how I kind of grew up in the ranks.
Yeah, it's interesting. Of course, the 2016 election was huge, and it felt like it was I don't know if a tipping point's the right way to put it, but I was just talking to a buddy of mine I went to high school with not too long ago. In high school, I graduated in 1994, and there were like, and I actually got into Rush Limbaugh, in my junior year. I was working at this job where I was making photocopies, and I would listen to Rush Limbaugh on the radio because there really wasn't anything else on. And it was very influential. Certainly agree with some of the things he said, but it was just kind of interesting to, talk about, him, listening to him talk about some of the issues of the day that I had no idea, were happening. So that was all interesting. So I was very different in that I was interested in politics in high school. But I only remember, there were like two people I remember in my high school that had any interest in anything political or any kind of broad issue. And they were super annoying. Nobody really liked them, right? I mean, they were kind of weirdos. Now, it's like everybody, back when I was in high school, you were into music, you were into sports. Everybody had a favorite sports team. They had a favorite band, or even a favorite genre and had favorite bands. Now, it seems like high school kids are way into politics, more than I've ever could even imagine. And I'm not sure it's good. I'm not sure this is a good thing.
They're being hand-fed. Yeah, I agree.
By the schools? You know a couple of high school kids, don't you?
I know. Yeah, I know a few. They're definitely getting it from what I've seen. Definitely getting it from the schools, from the teachers, from each other, and at home. I think they're getting hit from all points. And what's difficult, and I'm glad that groups like with like the Young Republicans are out there to kind of give the other side, to give a place to go and to give some truth out there, because they are being hit by so many different angles with non-truth. and lies.
So, Cynthia, what was the biggest when you started getting into politics and you got involved? Is there something that you were particularly surprised about, or is there something that you were kind of taken aback by, or something that you were maybe pleasantly surprised?
I was pleasantly surprised by how there is a community here in San Diego, because I obviously did not because I graduated in 2017. So I graduated towards the tail end of that during that 2016 election. So before that, I had very similar mentality to yourself, Michael, where I was not political, and I felt like that was never the depth of my conversations with any of my friends. And I felt like after that election and kind of observing how colleges before that, after I graduated, I agree with you all. For some reason, politics is the first thing people want to talk about. It's I kind of grew up thinking that was a taboo topic to touch. And so when you're someone like myself who graduated college and was, it's great to be able to be friends with your coworkers, but, sometimes there's some pros and cons to that. And, trying to find people that think the way they do, it can be very hard, because when you are working full time, it's exhausting. And with the commute and whatnot, when you're only used to working a certain amount of hours during school, it's an adjustment when you become a working professional. And so you have to put in a lot of effort to find spaces where you can make friends. And so I was pleasantly surprised when I decided to jump into politics and, trying to volunteer, become an activist, and then now being able to have the blessing and the privilege to be a public servant right now and serve, in this position as the president of San Diego Young Republicans. I've been pleasantly surprised that there's a lot more people out there that believe in the truth, that believe in the Second Amendment, and, believe and hold the same beliefs that I do.
And you just wrote an op-ed. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to a break, and then we're gonna talk all about your op-ed and what made you decide to author that op-ed and the points that you made. It was published in the Union Tribune. Did a fantastic job. We're going to talk to you about that after the break.
A lot of companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing, and the design is excellent, the photos are beautiful, and your website looks great only on your phone. But it's not getting customers. Why? Because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you can fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that make it easy for your customer to understand what you do and how to buy from you. Stop wasting money today and schedule a call. Getting started is real easy. Visit sagetree.com. Click on the Schedule an Appointment button at sagetree.com and click on the Schedule a Call button.
Find the Worms. What was that movie? Roxanne? Remember that? Worms, Roxanne, worms. All right. I'll take obscure movie references for 500.
I think you will.
We're talking to Cynthia Kaui. She's the president of the Young Republicans, and she is making a difference and stepped up to become a leader here in San Diego. And part of that is she wrote an extremely interesting op-ed that the Union Tribune published, and she chose to talk about the Second Amendment. Talk about that. How did you get the opportunity to write such a fantastic op-ed?
Well, first off, thank you so much. And it was such a blessing to be able to publish this. And, one thing that I hope to play a small role in regards to the Young Republican movement is a lot of conservatives and Republicans, they always complain about fake news and the press doesn't give opportunities, all the things of that nature. Well, I am of the opinion that I just don't think Republicans and conservatives they don't take advantage and leverage the opportunities that are available to speak with the media and press. And so that's one thing that I'm hoping to play a small role in, showing that if you have courage and you step up and you go into the lion's den, as I would call it, you will be able to help change hearts and minds, because ultimately that's what we are called to do, is to speak the truth and to be able to show that there is the other side to every argument and to every political discussion and to every story. And so fortunately, the San Diego Union Tribune, I have built, a good professional relationship to where, they had actually reached out and had expressed that they have a lot of op-eds that publish, calling for gun control. And so they had reached out, knowing that I am the San Diego Young Republicans president, and asked if I'd be interested in writing an op-ed describing for, sharing the other side of the argument, because they wanted to be able to showcase someone that had a difference of opinion. So I took advantage and leveraged the opportunity, and I wanted to focus in particular on highlighting all the support that you all, as the San Diego County Gun Owners, has given us with sponsoring a shooting social, and being able to make a very sound argument that I think could obviously support the Republicans, but I think also really cater to anyone that isn't a registered Republican but owns guns and believes in the Second Amendment and believes that it should not be infringed upon, and be able to be articulated and addressed in the way that it's written. And so that's kind of like the genesis on what inspired me to focus on this topic and why I wrote about the Second Amendment.
So what did you hope to, what message did you hope to get across? What people that read it in the Union Tribune, what were you hoping they walked away? What message were you hoping they walked away with?
I was hoping for several different messages. One is, if you are someone that believes in the Second Amendment, to not only continue to believe in it, but really step up and share how important it is, and being able to have the courage to be able to have these kinds of difficult discussions. Because I recognize it is a very sensitive topic, especially with, anything that has to do with like death or anything that's, it's gun control, Second Amendment are topics that really, really get people fired up. So I recognize how hard it is to be able to even want to talk about those kinds of things. So one message was to be able to ask Republicans or people that believe in the Second Amendment to have the courage to have these conversations and not only affirm what you believe in, but be willing to engage with people about this particular issue. The other goal and the message that I was hoping to come across is that it's not just Republicans that believe in the Second Amendment. It's Democrats, Libertarians, declined states, and independents. And so I was hoping, and what I believe that I achieved and what I feel confident in saying so, is to be able to express and illustrate this, that calls for gun restrictions, recognizing that tragic mass shootings are what it is, that they're tragic and they're extremely unfortunate. However, if we are going to have a nuanced and really balanced and rooted conversation, the bottom line is that it's not the gun that's responsible for these shootings, it is the people. And so if we are going to have these kinds of discussions, we need to take it a step further and, be able to call it for what it is. And to take it a step further, it's not just elected Democrats in the county that are guilty of this. If you read the op-ed in the San Diego Union Tribune, I also, took issue with some Republican elected officials in the House and in the Senate where they were calling for red flag laws. So when I say I believe in the Second Amendment in the way that it's written and that it should not be infringed upon, that is just what I believe in.
And it was extremely well written. You did a great job. How did the UT? How did they receive it? They, hey, thanks for the op-ed. We're gonna print it, or did they give you a hard time?
They received it very well, and they agreed to print it. In fact, it was always one of my goals for SUIR is to make sure that we are visible through the media and the press. So it was always on my to-do list to be able to publish these op-eds, but this happened to be, my first topic that I decided to write about as the president. And so, basically the UT had actually reached out knowing that I was the president and asked if I wanted to talk about this issue to kind of help balance the other opinions that they had. So I did not receive any pushback, and that's why I'm really appreciative of the UT for the platform and the opportunity to be able to share the conservative take on this issue.
And how did it, what kind of feedback did you get?
Well, those that believe in the Second Amendment were obviously very receptive of it. I had a lot of great positive feedback, so that was reassuring. However, I am not surprised. And also, it's very noteworthy that, I got a lot of pushback from people that take aim at that, no pun intended, that, believe in calls for more gun control restrictions. So, and what's crazy about it too is, and what I hope to inspire and to empower young Republicans are, especially because we live in a digital social media world, a lot of these conversations or these grand slams, they happen on the internet. Unless they have the courage and the guts to be able to say what they claim to say to you on the internet and they try to put you down, please note that that's all that it is. It's just grandsons on the internet. With all the pushback that I got on Twitter, I know that if I met these people in real life, they would not say that to my face. So it was a mixed bag, as I expected. Again, I knew I was going into Lion's Den when I shared this op-ed. And I had both positive feedback and also the negative feedback.
Well, you did a great job. I got to tell you, you were extremely nice and generous, and let me read a rough draft of it before you submit it to the Union Tribune. And I read it. It was great. It was fantastic. And then I got to tell you, I kind of laughed at the end when you were so nice and generous to mention San Diego County gun owners, because I know the Union Tribune, they're like, oh gosh, we don't want to get San Diego County gun owners, that Schwartz guy, we're tired of hearing from him. So let's get somebody else. And you dedicated a whole paragraph to how great San Diego County gun owners is. So I just imagined the editors at the Union Tribune, rolling their eyes, going, "Oh my God, we're trying to get away from this guy." No, they've been wonderful, but I can't tell you how nice and generous and thoughtful it was that you did that. And we helped you guys out with a shooting social, which I think went really, really well. Talk about that. Did you guys have fun? Did you get some positive feedback there?
We had so much fun. We are so humbled and so grateful. In fact, we got so much positive feedback. We want to be able to do it again and kind of make it maybe like a bi-monthly effort and collaboration because of the positive feedback we had. I mean, we had a range of 16 attendees that either had never shot a firearm before, that it had been a while, or they, even had their own firearms that they brought to the shooting social. And so I wanted to give a shout out and to thank Poway Weapons and Gear Range that, hosted us, and, to you all for providing mentors that taught us firearm safety and how to shoot the firearm. So we just had so much fun, and we got so much positive feedback that we want to be able to collaborate with you all, in the future, and to be able to make this a bi-monthly effort.
Did you go, Alicia?
I was not able to make that one.
Oh, okay. I thought you went to that one.
No.
Yeah. Well, I got a ton of positive feedback. I swear we could have a shooting social every single weekend if we just, honestly, the only thing we need are the volunteers.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we had the volunteers, which I think we definitely have the reach in San Diego. We have, 3,600 whatever plus members. We have enough people. But every time somebody comes to one of our shooting socials, we've never had a bad experience. It's always, positive, and there's so many groups, and it's such an eclectic group. I'm glad you guys had fun, Cynthia. So what's a goal? What are you working on? What would you like to see the Young Republicans do over the summer?
We have a lot of great things in store. So I'm prioritizing filling our board of directors and finding people who want to sit on our policy committee. And, outside of that, we actually had a very successful happy hour this past Wednesday in North County. Our goal is to basically hit all the corners of San Diego and to be able to feature all of our Republican elected officials and be able to come together and socialize with each other and really foster social trust and really grow in our community and our organization. So we had 8 elected officials there, and 4 of them speak, including 3 mayors and Supervisor Jim Desmond. And we had 30 to 40 people there. And we did a happy hour in March where we had 60 to 80 people as like our kickoff, where I was, first introduced as the new president. We had a bunch of elected officials and stakeholders there. We obviously had our shooting social, and, we want to continue all of these political opportunities and, offer, presidential briefings when the primary field is a little bit more clear. But outside of the political stuff, I have a lot of members that, aren't necessarily involved in politics and work in it. So I really care deeply about making sure that they feel safe and we have opportunities outside of politics where we all can just come together and be able to enjoy ourselves. And so now that the summer is here, I'm actually planning a beach bonfire for our members. I'm planning paintballing, laser tag, bowling. We might, if it works out, I'd love to be able for us to go to a Padres game together. And my personal favorite, I'm super excited to find an area where we could do karaoke. So I'm just super pumped. I mean, the politics is great. It's important that we make sure that we have these programs and make sure we are involved and engaged in civic discourse, and we have relationships with our Republican elected officials who work very hard and really are a great steward of those values. But, outside of that, I want to make sure that we are a fun organization where people look at us and they want to make it their home. So I'm super excited for the summer and everything that we have in store.
Alicia, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, jeez.
You got to go up right now and sing. What are you singing?
I did one with Roger Hedgecock many years ago, and I can't remember what it was.
All right, folks.
Next segment.
Mine's Billy Idol, White Wedding.
This is Gun Owners Radio. FM
Thank you, Cynthia.
96.1, AM 1170.
The answer. Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.